Aliens never expected Deathworlders to answer to their distress call. Its silver hull, usually shining with a soft luminescence, was now scarred and dented from countless collisions with tiny, sharp fragments of cosmic debris. Within its core, the life support systems flickered weakly, and the artificial gravity hummed with uneven rhythm. The crew of Velarans, tall, elegant, and glowing faintly from their bioluminescent skin, moved cautiously through the corridors. Their usually harmonious environment was now tense and anxious. Captain Alara stood on the command bridge, her slender fingers resting on the transparent control panels. Her eyes, large and violet, scanned the holographic projections of the nebula ahead. She had commanded starships for decades, but the outer nebula was a place no Velaran had fully mastered. It was a region of violent plasma storms, unpredictable gravitational anomalies, and energy fields that could disable even the most advanced technology. Yet curiosity and duty had drawn them here. "Systems failing," said Lyran, her communications officer, her voice calm but concerned. "Life support has dropped to 60%. Power reserves will last another 23 hours at most." Ilara's heart tightened. 23 hours was not much time, especially when their ship was stranded hundreds of light years from the nearest Velaran outpost. "Send out the distress signal," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear in her chest. "Any intelligent species must respond." "We cannot survive alone here for long." Lyran hesitated, her fingers hovering over the controls. "Captain, this region is dangerous. Most species avoid it entirely. A call for help could attract predators or worse, the wrong kind of attention." Ilara nodded. "I understand the risk, but we have no choice. We must survive. If no one comes, the Elisire and all aboard will be lost." With that, Lyran activated the communications array. Waves of encoded signals pulsed into deep space, moving faster than light itself. These signals were unlike anything previously sent by Velarans. They were designed to reach any sentient species, in case of a true emergency. And somewhere, far across the void, they would find listeners. The Velaran crew returned to their tasks, repairing damaged conduits, stabilizing the navigation core, and checking oxygen levels. Each of them worked with precision, but a quiet tension filled the air. No words were spoken about fear. Velarans rarely discussed emotions openly, but it was there, palpable in every measured movement. Hours passed. The nebula outside raged with unseen forces. Energy currents shimmered like ghostly ribbons of light, pulsing and twisting in the darkness. The ship trembled occasionally as small plasma bursts collided with its shields, producing sharp electric sparks in the corridors. Yet still, no response came to their distress call. Captain Alara moved to the observation deck, watching the endless dark. She thought of the many star systems she had explored, the civilizations she had met. Velarans were explorers by nature, always seeking knowledge and understanding. But this nebula was different. It was a place that tested the limits of even their advanced technology. And now, stranded within it, they were forced to rely not only on skill but on hope. Then, a faint flicker appeared on the communication monitor. Lyran gasped softly, leaning closer. "Captain, there's a signal. It's different, not Velaran." Ilara's brow furrowed. "What do you mean, not Velaran?" Lyran studied the incoming transmission. Its energy signature was robust, raw, and unfamiliar. "It's strong, Captain, far stronger than anything we expected." "The species, it's unlike any we've contacted before. It is human." Ilara froze for a moment. Humans were considered an unpredictable species. Velarans had only scattered records of them. Colonists from a distant, harsh planet called Terra, who had adapted to survive conditions most life forms could not endure. They were often referred to as Deathworlders, because their homeworld had forced them to evolve resilience, intelligence, and ingenuity beyond the imagination of other species. Most Velarans had avoided direct contact, assuming humans were dangerous, chaotic, and reckless. Yet now one was answering their call. Lyran continued, "They are on their way. Estimated arrival 7 hours. 7 hours, 7 hours that could mean life or death." Ilara felt a mixture of relief and unease. She knew nothing of these humans personally, but stories of their survival skills were legendary. She could only hope their instincts for helping others were as strong as their reputations suggested. As the crew worked, preparing for the unknown arrival, small changes appeared in the ship's systems. Energy flows stabilized slightly, as if responding to the humans' approaching presence. The Velarans watched, fascinated as the alien signal strengthened, a steady heartbeat of raw determination and resilience. Meanwhile, far from the nebula, aboard the human ship Ironheart, Captain Marcus Kane examined the incoming distress call. His crew, rough, strong, and experienced in surviving the most dangerous conditions of space and planets alike, looked to him for guidance. Marcus was a tall man with a commanding presence. Years on the Deathworlds had shaped him into someone who thrived on challenge. He studied the signal carefully. Unlike the Velarans, humans had no history of relying solely on technology. They relied on instinct, improvisation, and unyielding courage. The distress call was faint but clear. It was a species in need of immediate aid, and Marcus's gut told him that ignoring it was not an option. "Set course," he ordered, voice calm and unwavering. "They need us. Let's make sure they get it." His crew responded without question. The humans adjusted their engines, moving at top speed through the stars. Each of them trusted Marcus's judgment implicitly. They had faced hostile planets, space storms, and alien predators before, and they had survived. The Velarans were just another species in need, and Marcus did not hesitate to answer. Back on the Elysire, tension remained high. The hours ticked by slowly, each one stretching like an eternity. Crew members whispered in the corners, discussing rumors of human unpredictability. Some feared they might be aggressive, even dangerous. Others argued that only a species hardened by a deathworld could possibly survive in this nebula. Then, the sensors detected the human ship's approach. A massive silhouette appeared through the nebula's electric haze. The humans moved with precision, despite the chaotic energy around them. Shields flickered and adapted, engines adjusted automatically. The Velarans could only watch in awe as the humans maneuvered the Ironheart flawlessly into position beside the failing Elysire. Captain Alara felt a shiver of awe mixed with apprehension. She had never seen beings like these up close. They were muscular, practical, and strikingly determined. Their expressions were focused, serious, and unyielding. There was no fear in them, only competence and confidence. Lyran whispered almost to herself, They're here." The human captain hailed the Velarans, his voice transmitted clearly over space frequencies. "This is Captain Marcus Kane of the Ironheart. We received your distress signal. You are not alone anymore. We will help you." Ilara's heart, for the first time in hours, relaxed. "Acknowledged, Captain Kane," she replied. "Your timing is perfect. We are in desperate need of assistance." The Ironheart extended docking arms, linking securely with the Elysire. The humans boarded the Velaran ship, not as conquerors or intruders, but as allies. They moved with purpose, assessing damage, stabilizing systems, and offering solutions that the Velarans themselves had never considered. Hours passed in a flurry of activity. Humans and Velarans worked together, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes in seamless coordination. The Velarans marveled at how quickly the humans adapted to their ship systems, improvising tools, rerouting power, and reinforcing weak structural points. Captain Alara approached Marcus Kane personally. "I must admit," she said, her voice measured but full of genuine curiosity, "your species, it is unlike any we expected. You thrive where others would fail. You are remarkable." Marcus smiled faintly. "We survive because we have no choice. We face danger every day and we learn quickly. But right now, you are the ones in danger. Let's get you safe first." Despite the chaos, a bond began forming between the two species, a quiet understanding born of necessity and mutual respect. The Velarans realized that humans, who many considered reckless and unpredictable, were exactly what they needed: capable, fearless, and ingenious. As the first part of the rescue operation continued, the nebula raged on outside, unaware that its next challenge was being met not by cautious technology alone, but by courage, adaptability, and determination, the very qualities that defined humanity. Captain Alara allowed herself a small moment of hope. Perhaps, she thought, the universe had given them a gift in the form of these Deathworlders. And perhaps, in their strange, rugged way, humans would teach the Velarans something far more important than survival: resilience, ingenuity, and the courage to face the impossible. The Elysire was still in peril, but with the humans aboard, hope was no longer a distant dream. It was a tangible, growing force, ready to turn the tide against the darkness of the nebula. The docking clamps of the Ironheart hissed and clicked as they sealed onto the hull of the Elysire. The Velarans watched with cautious curiosity. Their luminous skin flickered in the dim light of the corridor, reflecting the tense excitement in the air. Captain Alara remained on the command bridge, her eyes fixed on the human ship's silhouette hovering outside. Despite her fear of the unknown, she could not ignore the feeling of awe growing inside her. The humans were unlike any species the Velarans had ever encountered. Their bodies were strong, thick with muscle, and their movements were precise yet unrefined, rough edges that spoke of a lifetime of surviving the most dangerous worlds. They wore durable suits designed for extreme conditions, and their eyes reflected an intensity that radiated both intelligence and determination. The first human to step aboard was Captain Marcus Kane himself. He moved quickly, assessing the surroundings with a sharp gaze. Behind him, a small team of human engineers followed, carrying specialized tools, portable power units, and medical kits. Each member of the team had a purpose and moved with coordinated efficiency. "Velarans," Marcus said, his voice firm but calm, "we're here to help. Show us what needs fixing first." Lyran, still holding her comm pad, hesitated. "Captain Kane, please understand, our systems are unlike yours. Some technology is difficult to operate." Marcus tilted his head slightly, a small smile forming at the corner of his mouth. "Then we'll figure it out, that's what we do." Captain Alara took a deep breath and motioned for the humans to follow her. "Very well, I will show you the main engineering deck. Please be careful." The humans did not need to be told twice. They moved through the corridors confidently, examining control panels, energy conduits, and damaged hull sections. Marcus crouched by a broken power regulator, pulling out a small tool from his belt. "This can be rerouted," he muttered to himself, almost as if the system could understand him. Within moments, a faint hum filled the air as the power line stabilized. The Velarans watched, fascinated and slightly apprehensive. They had relied on careful, calculated procedures for centuries. The humans, by contrast, seemed to improvise and adapt instinctively. Every action was deliberate yet unpredictable, as if they understood the ship not through study, but through instinct and experience. One of the engineers, a young human woman named Leela, examined the life support system. "This filter is nearly fused," she said, her fingers flying over the controls. "We can replace it, but we'll need to make a temporary loop to keep oxygen levels steady." Lyran looked at her nervously. "Are you certain? This is highly sensitive equipment. Any mistake?" Leela nodded confidently. "We'll manage, just step back." Moments later, a soft hiss and a gentle vibration indicated success. Oxygen levels stabilized, and the weak hum of the ventilation system grew steadier. The Velarans exchanged looks of surprise and admiration. Meanwhile, Captain Kane made his way to the navigation hub. He studied the holographic projection of the nebula, his eyes narrowing as he analyzed the energy currents and plasma bursts. "The usual route is too dangerous," he said quietly, almost to himself. "But if we approach from this angle, we can minimize exposure to the plasma storms and stabilize the ship long enough to escape." Alara leaned over his shoulder, curiosity overcoming caution. "You speak of a route we had not considered. How do you know this will work?" Marcus shrugged lightly. "Experience. When you survive places worse than this, you start to notice patterns other species miss." The Velarans were silent. Their species was known for intelligence and precision, yet even they could not ignore the practicality in the human approach. The combination of instinct, observation, and courage was unlike anything they had encountered. Hours passed as the humans continued their work. Every part of the Elixir that was damaged or unstable was assessed, repaired, or temporarily reinforced. They moved quickly but carefully, prioritizing what was essential for survival. The Velarans assisted where they could, but often found themselves stepping back, letting the humans take the lead. During this time, small interactions occurred. Lyran observed the humans' method of working, fascinated by how they adapted to the Velaran technology. She noted their willingness to touch and adjust systems that Velarans would have considered sacred or delicate. The humans' respect for life was evident, even as they took risks others would avoid. One human engineer approached Alara. "Captain, some of your conduits are unstable. We can reinforce them with temporary plating until permanent repairs are possible. It's safe, but it's unconventional." Alara studied the suggested modifications. They were indeed unconventional, but there was a logic she could not deny. "Proceed," she said, feeling a mixture of relief and apprehension. As evening approached in Velaran time, though the concept of day and night was different for them, the humans took a short rest. They gathered in a corner of the main deck, consuming simple rations and water. Despite their fatigue, they remained alert, constantly monitoring the ship's systems. Ilara observed them from a distance, noting how different they were from her crew. Velarans often relied on careful calculations and advanced technology. Humans, however, relied on themselves, their physical strength, and their ability to adapt. She realized that in this moment they were exactly what the Elisire needed. Captain Kane noticed her watching and approached. "You're worried about us," he said bluntly. "You shouldn't be. We're here to help, not to harm." Ilara nodded slowly. "It is not fear, Captain, it is caution. Your species is strong and unpredictable, yet your actions, they inspire hope." Marcus grinned faintly. "Hope is a good thing, makes surviving a lot easier." The humans' presence changed the atmosphere on the Elisire. Fear and tension began to give way to cautious optimism. The Velarans realized that their sophisticated technology alone might not have been enough to save them. It was the humans' courage, ingenuity, and determination that gave them a real chance. Suddenly, an alert flashed across the bridge. A plasma storm had shifted unexpectedly, moving closer to the Elisire. The ship trembled as energy bursts hit the shields, sending sparks dancing along the corridor walls. Marcus Kane moved quickly, issuing orders with calm authority. "Everyone, secure yourselves, shields at maximum. Lyran, guide us through the next sector." Leela prepped the emergency dampeners. The Velarans watched as the humans sprang into action. They moved with confidence and speed, making adjustments that seemed almost instinctive. Within moments, the Elisire stabilized, the immediate danger mitigated. Ilara felt a surge of gratitude. These humans, who had come from a harsh, dangerous world, were saving her people from a peril that her species had never truly mastered. They did not hesitate. They did not panic. They acted. When the storm passed, Marcus approached Ilara. "That was close, but it's manageable. Your ship's systems are strong, but they needed someone to make decisions quickly. That's what we do." Ilara nodded, her admiration growing. "Your species, it is remarkable. I had heard of humans before, but seeing you in action, it is beyond my expectations." Marcus shrugged. "We just survive, and sometimes that survival makes a difference to others." As the humans continued their work, the Velarans began to understand something important. Technology and intelligence were powerful, but courage, adaptability, and determination were equally vital. Humans brought that combination in ways the Velarans had never witnessed. By the end of the day, the Elisire was more stable. Life support systems were functioning steadily, shields had been reinforced, and the ship's engines were partially restored. Though repairs were not complete, survival was now possible. Captain Ilara called her crew together. "Today, we have learned an important lesson. Strength is not only in technology or intelligence. Sometimes it is in courage, adaptability, and the willingness to act. The humans who have come to us possess these qualities in abundance." The Velaran crew looked at the humans with a new respect. They realized that these Deathworlders, so feared and misunderstood, were not only survivors, they were allies capable of facing dangers that even advanced technology alone could not overcome. Marcus Kane met Ilara's gaze. "We're here for as long as you need us," he said. "But you'll find that once humans start helping, things get done faster, and sometimes better." Ilara smiled faintly. "We are grateful, Captain. Your timing and your courage have saved us from despair." The first part of their collaboration was over, but the real challenge had only begun. Outside the Elisire, the nebula roared, as if testing the humans and Velarans alike. Yet, for the first time in days, hope shone brightly aboard the ship. Captain Ilara allowed herself to believe that perhaps, with these humans at their side, survival was not only possible, it was inevitable. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Ironheart crew prepared for the next stage of their mission. Navigating a nebula that had claimed countless ships, facing dangers that few species could withstand, and proving that humans were exactly the allies the galaxy did not know. It needed. The story of courage, ingenuity, and the unexpected alliance between Velarans and humans had truly begun. The Elisire shivered as it drifted closer to the heart of the outer nebula. From the observation deck, Captain Ilara could see the vast expanse of electric blue currents and glowing energy clouds swirling violently in the darkness. Every shimmer of light, every ripple of plasma, reminded her that this region of space was unlike anything her people had ever encountered. The nebula was alive in a way Velarans could not fully calculate, shifting unpredictably, as if testing every ship that dared enter. Lyran stood beside her, scanning the energy fluctuations. "Captain, the storm patterns are unstable. They shift constantly. Any miscalculation could damage the ship further." Ilara nodded, her face calm but her mind racing. "We have the humans now. Perhaps their instincts will help us navigate." Just then, the communications console beeped. Marcus Kane's voice came through, steady and confident. "We've got a plan. It's unconventional, but it can work. If we follow a precise route, avoiding the densest plasma pockets, we can stabilize the ship and move through safely. But everyone must be alert. One mistake could be fatal." Ilara inhaled deeply. The human's confidence was reassuring, yet unnerving. Velarans prided themselves on precision, calculations, and careful planning. Humans, however, relied on intuition, improvisation, and courage. It was a combination that the Velarans did not fully understand, but they knew it was effective. Marcus and his team took command of the engineering deck. Human engineers ran diagnostics on every vital system: engines, shields, and energy stabilizers. Their hands moved quickly, almost instinctively, adjusting conduits, rerouting power, and reinforcing weak points. The Velarans observed silently, amazed at how quickly the humans adapted to technology they had never seen before. Leela, the young engineer, crouched beside a damaged energy panel. "This section is weak," she said, pointing to the glowing conduits. "We can reinforce it, but we'll need to reroute power temporarily. It's risky but manageable." Lyran frowned. "Rerouting power this way, it could overload the system. We've never tried it before." Leela shrugged lightly. "We improvise, that's how we survive." Captain Ilara studied the humans as they worked. She realized that their strength was not only in physical skill, but in their ability to remain calm under pressure. The Velarans had knowledge, but humans had courage. And in the nebula, courage could make the difference between survival and destruction. The ship trembled as a sudden plasma burst hit its outer shields. Sparks danced across the corridors, and the hum of the engines faltered momentarily. The Velarans stiffened, but Marcus remained calm. "Steady," he ordered. "Engage dampeners, stabilize the hull. Everyone stay focused." The humans moved with speed and precision. They connected temporary energy dampeners to weak sections, adjusted shield frequencies, and reinforced structural panels with materials carried from their own ship. Within minutes, the immediate threat had passed. "See," Marcus said to Ilara. "It's all about quick thinking and action. Fear won't help here, only doing what needs to be done." Ilara nodded, feeling respect and admiration for the humans. They were unpredictable, yes, but their unpredictability was their strength. Where Velarans relied on calculation, humans relied on adaptation. And in this nebula, adaptation was the key to survival. As the ship moved deeper into the nebula, more challenges arose. Electrical storms erupted without warning, sending arcs of energy crackling across the hull. Gravity fluctuations made movement difficult, and rogue plasma tendrils threatened to pierce the shields. Every step forward required careful coordination. Marcus took the navigation console, guiding the ship through narrow corridors of safe energy. Lyran assisted him, providing calculations and projections, though she found herself questioning her own data in light of the human's instincts. "Captain Kane," she said cautiously, "your path, it seems unconventional, but somehow it works." Marcus grinned faintly. "Sometimes rules are made to be adapted. You'll see, we're not reckless, we're resourceful." The Velarans had never witnessed such a combination of courage, skill, and improvisation. While their technology was advanced, it often lacked the flexibility that humans brought naturally. Here in the nebula, flexibility was survival. Suddenly, an alert blared. A massive energy surge erupted just ahead. The plasma storm had shifted, creating a wall of intense light and heat. Sensors showed it would collide with the Elixir in minutes. Ilara's voice trembled slightly as she called out orders to the Velarans. "Prepare shields to maximum. Evacuate non-essential crew to secure compartments." Marcus stepped forward. "No need for panic, I have a plan." He turned to his team. "Tie dampeners to the hull, reroute excess energy to the outer shields, and brace for impact. We'll ride through it." The Velarans watched, holding their breath, as the humans implemented the plan. With remarkable speed, they stabilized the ship, connecting temporary conduits, reinforcing shields, and using their own ship's auxiliary power to support the Elixir. The plasma wall hit. The hull shuddered violently, alarms blaring throughout the ship. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the ship groaned under the strain. But the humans' preparations held. The impact was absorbed, and though the ride was rough, the ship survived. Alara exhaled, relief flooding her. She had never experienced such raw power and skill in action. The humans were extraordinary. They did not panic. They did not hesitate. They acted. And in doing so, they had saved the Elixir. As the immediate danger passed, Marcus addressed the crew. "This nebula is unpredictable. We've handled one surge, but more will come. Stay vigilant, adapt, act when needed. That's how we survive." The Velarans listened carefully. Their species valued rules and calculations, but here, in this storm, rules were not enough. They had to observe, adapt, and trust the humans' instincts. Over the next several hours, the crew worked together. Velarans provided precise calculations and monitored energy levels. Humans reinforced structures, stabilized systems, and improvised solutions for unforeseen problems. The combination of calculation and instinct proved powerful. During a brief pause, Captain Alara spoke to Marcus privately. "Your species, it is remarkable. You thrive under conditions that would overwhelm most life forms, and yet you remain calm, focused, and effective." Marcus smiled. "We're survivors, Captain. It's not about being remarkable. It's about doing what needs to be done. And sometimes that means taking risks and trusting yourself." Alara nodded thoughtfully. She realized that humans were not just physically strong. They possessed mental strength and courage that was rare among other species. They could face danger head-on and find solutions where others saw only threats. Suddenly, Lyran's console beeped urgently. "Captain, there's an unstable energy field ahead. If we continue on this trajectory, it will overload the engines and breach the hull." Marcus stepped forward immediately. "Divert power to the forward shields, engage dampeners, and prepare emergency energy loops. I'll guide us through." The humans moved with practiced efficiency. Leela and two others ran along the corridors, securing panels, adjusting conduits, and monitoring energy flows. Within minutes, the Elixir had passed through the energy field safely, the hull intact, and the engines stabilized. The Velarans exchanged astonished glances. They had never witnessed such speed, courage, and ingenuity combined. These humans were extraordinary, not just for their physical ability, but for their mindset. Calm under pressure, resourceful, and fearless in the face of danger. As the Elixir moved deeper into the nebula, the storm began to show signs of subsiding. The plasma clouds thinned, and the violent energy currents became more predictable. Still, the danger was far from over. Captain Alara addressed the combined crew. "Today, we have faced the nebula and survived, thanks to the courage and skill of our human allies. We have learned that knowledge alone is not enough. Adaptability, courage, and the willingness to act are equally vital. Humans have shown us this, and for that, we owe them our gratitude." Marcus nodded. "And you've shown us that advanced technology and careful planning are essential. Together, we can survive anything this nebula throws at us." The Velarans and humans shared a moment of quiet camaraderie. For the first time, they were not two species working separately. They were a team, united by a common goal: survival. Hours later, as the ship moved through a calmer section of the nebula, Marcus and Alara stood together on the observation deck. The glowing energy clouds stretched infinitely in every direction, a reminder of the dangers they had faced and the ones still ahead. "We are not yet safe," Alara said quietly. "But with you here, I feel hope." Marcus smiled. "Hope is powerful, Captain. It helps us survive, and as long as we stay focused and work together, we'll make it out of this nebula alive." As the Elixir pressed onward, deeper into the swirling maelstrom of energy and light, both species understood a fundamental truth. Survival was not about strength alone. It was about courage, ingenuity, and the ability to adapt. And in this moment, humans had shown the Velarans what true resilience looked like. The nebula was far from conquered, but for the first time, the Velarans believed that survival was not only possible, it was probable. And with the humans by their side, they were ready to face whatever came next. The Elixir moved cautiously, but steadily, deeper into the outer nebula. Outside the observation deck, the energy clouds glowed with a mix of electric blues and fiery oranges, twisting and churning as if alive. The nebula had grown more unpredictable the further they ventured. Plasma surges erupted without warning, and energy currents shifted in ways the Velaran's sensors could barely predict. Captain Alara stood on the command bridge, her posture calm but her mind alert. "This section," she said to Lyran, "is the most unstable yet. The energy currents are violent. One wrong calculation and we risk hull breach or system failure." Lyran's hands hovered over the controls. "I've analyzed the readings, Captain. The currents are inconsistent. Standard navigation methods may not be enough. We'll need to combine human instinct with our calculations." Alara nodded. "Then we trust them completely." Marcus Kane moved to the forward console. His eyes scanned the holographic projection of the nebula. "This is what we trained for," he said quietly. "Keep your focus, trust your instincts, and stay calm. The moment panic sets in, mistakes happen." The Velarans observed the humans with fascination. Humans had survived environments that would have destroyed other species: deathworlds, freezing voids, radioactive wastelands. Their instincts, their ability to improvise, and their courage under pressure were unmatched. Here, facing a sentient nebula of plasma storms and energy surges, those qualities were exactly what the Elixir needed. "Divert auxiliary power to the shields," Marcus ordered. "We'll need maximum protection for the hull. Lyran, give me your calculations on energy fluctuations, and I'll adjust in real time." The bridge was alive with activity. Velarans worked alongside humans, each contributing what they could. Sensors flickered, shields hummed, and energy rerouted continuously as the Elixir moved deeper into the storm. Suddenly, a surge of plasma slammed into the ship, shaking it violently. Sparks danced along the corridors, and the hum of the engines faltered. The Velarans braced themselves, but the humans remained calm. Marcus issued clear, precise orders. "Engage the dampeners. Reinforce the hull at points 3 and 5. Leela, connect the emergency energy loop. Move quickly but carefully." Within moments, the system stabilized. The Elixir had survived another attack, thanks to human skill and courage. The Velarans stared in awe, realizing that their advanced technology alone would not have been enough. "Captain Alara," Marcus said after the surge, "this nebula reacts to energy patterns. It's almost aware. We can't just go straight through. We need to anticipate, adapt, and sometimes improvise." Alara nodded, understanding dawning. "Your instincts are invaluable here. We have knowledge, but you have experience that goes beyond calculation. We must trust it completely." Hours passed as the Elixir moved cautiously through the storm. Plasma arcs flashed dangerously close, energy tendrils whipped around the hull, and gravitational anomalies pulled at the ship unpredictably. Every decision had to be precise, yet flexible. Leela and 2 other human engineers worked along the main corridors, repairing minor hull breaches and reinforcing conduits. One breach threatened to disable a shield generator, but they quickly rerouted energy and reinforced the panel with their portable reinforcements. Velarans watched silently, impressed by their speed and ingenuity. A new challenge appeared on the sensors, a massive plasma vortex spinning violently in the center of the nebula. Its energy field was unlike anything the Velarans had studied. Lyran's voice trembled slightly. "Captain, this vortex, it could destabilize the ship entirely." "No ship has passed through it and survived." Marcus studied the projection calmly. "We'll have to go around it," he said, "or if we choose the right angle and adjust the shields dynamically, we might be able to pass through safely. It's risky, but we can do it." Alara took a deep breath. "Then we trust your judgment, Captain Kane. Lead the way." The humans prepared for the maneuver. Shields were adjusted continuously, energy loops rerouted, and auxiliary power surged to critical systems. Marcus guided the Elixir forward with a combination of intuition and calculation, adjusting course moment by moment. The ship approached the vortex. The gravitational forces grew stronger, pulling and twisting the hull. Plasma arcs crackled around them, threatening to pierce the shields. The Velarans worked frantically to assist, monitoring energy flows and providing calculations to support the humans' adjustments. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy struck the hull directly. Alarms blared. The bridge shook violently. The Velarans gasped in alarm, but the humans acted immediately. Leela and another engineer secured the conduits. Marcus adjusted the shields dynamically, and the rest of the crew reinforced weak points along the hull. Minutes felt like hours, but the combined efforts held. The Elysire moved through the vortex, its hull intact, its systems stable. Outside, the storm raged, but inside, a quiet awe settled over the crew. Captain Alara turned to Marcus. "Your instincts, they are extraordinary." "I do not know if we could have survived this without you," Marcus smiled faintly. "We survive because we have to, and sometimes helping others survive is part of that. We adapt, we act, we don't panic." The Velarans realized that humans had not only skill but a mindset that allowed them to face extreme danger calmly. In their world, fear was natural, but it did not control action. Action controlled fear. As they moved deeper into the nebula, minor surges continued, each testing the crew's coordination. Yet, the humans' presence allowed the Velarans to respond with confidence rather than panic. Every challenge became manageable because the humans brought courage and ingenuity alongside the Velarans' advanced knowledge. During a brief pause, Captain Alara observed the humans as they worked. They did not rest, not because they were stronger, but because they were focused. Every action had a purpose, every decision calculated quickly in the moment. Velarans who relied on careful planning found this method astonishing, but effective. Marcus walked along the corridor, checking on the engineers and the Velaran crew. "Keep calm. Focus on what needs to be done. We'll get through this," he said simply. His confidence inspired the Velarans to trust themselves and act decisively. A sudden alert flashed. Another plasma surge approached from the side, faster than predicted. Lyran froze. "Captain, it's coming too fast. Shields may not hold." Marcus reacted instantly. "Divert all remaining auxiliary power to shields, activate dampeners and brace the hull. Leela, secure the panels. Everyone hold steady." The surge struck with incredible force. The hull shuddered violently. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the ship groaned. The Velarans held their positions, unsure if it would survive. The humans, however, worked instinctively. They reinforced weak points, adjusted energy flows, and guided the ship through the worst of the blast. Minutes later, the storm subsided again. The ship had survived, battered but intact. The Velarans looked at the humans with deep respect. They had faced a force beyond calculation and survived because of courage, skill, and decisive action. Captain Alara addressed the bridge. "Today, we have passed through the most dangerous part of the nebula. We survived because of our human allies who acted with bravery, skill, and ingenuity. We owe them our lives." Marcus shook his head. "We didn't do it alone. You provided knowledge, systems, and guidance. Together, we make a team capable of surviving anything." The Velarans nodded, understanding at last the true value of the humans' presence. They had relied too long on careful calculations alone. Here, in the storm, they had learned the importance of courage, adaptation, and decisive action. As the Elysire moved past the central vortex, the energy clouds began to thin. The storm's intensity lessened slightly, allowing the crew to breathe a momentary sigh of relief. Yet they all knew the nebula was far from safe. More challenges awaited, but the crew was now stronger, more united, and more confident than ever. Captain Alara stood on the observation deck with Marcus Kane. "I have learned something today," she said quietly. "Courage and ingenuity are as powerful as knowledge." "Humans bring both in ways we could not predict," Marcus nodded. "And your species brings knowledge and precision. Together we survive, and sometimes surviving together is what makes us stronger." The nebula stretched endlessly before them, a living storm of light and energy. But aboard the Elysire, hope was no longer a fragile thing. It was a force, strengthened by the courage, ingenuity, and determination of two species working as one. They were not yet free of danger, but they had proven something vital. Survival was possible when knowledge and courage combined. And in this moment, the Velarans understood fully why humans were called Deathworlders. Not because they were destructive, but because they could survive and thrive where most others could not. As the ship pressed onward into the remaining dangers of the nebula, the combined crew prepared for the next stage of their journey, ready to face whatever the storm might throw at them. They were united, resourceful, and unyielding, and together nothing could break their resolve. The Elysire emerged slowly from the outer nebula, its hull battered but intact, its systems humming steadily under the watchful eyes of both Velarans and humans. Outside, the violent plasma clouds had thinned to harmless wisps of glowing energy, leaving a calm expanse of dark space ahead. The journey through the storm had tested every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of courage aboard the ship. Captain Alara stood on the observation deck, gazing at the nebula's fading glow. Her violet eyes reflected both relief and awe. "We have made it through," she whispered to Lyran. "By all rights, this ship should have been destroyed." Lyran nodded, her face still pale but glowing faintly in the dim light. "It is remarkable, Captain, not just the survival, but the way the humans guided us. Their instincts, their courage, it is unlike anything we have ever seen." Marcus Kane approached, leaning casually against the railing. "You did well too," he said. "Your crew worked perfectly with us. It wasn't just us saving you, it was teamwork, knowledge and courage together." Alara turned to face him fully. "Indeed. Without your species, we would not have survived the nebula. You saved us, Marcus Kane, and for that we are deeply grateful." Marcus shrugged modestly. "We don't do it for thanks. We do it because it's the right thing. Survival is better when shared." A quiet silence settled over the observation deck as both species absorbed the significance of what had just occurred. The Elisire had passed through the most dangerous section of the nebula and lived. Technology alone had not been enough. Courage alone had not been enough. Only the combination of Velaran precision and human instinct, knowledge and adaptability, calculation and courage had made survival possible. Back on the bridge, the crew worked together to finalize repairs. Shields were reinforced permanently, hull damage patched, and engines fully restored. Velaran engineers and human engineers collaborated closely, learning from one another. Leela demonstrated her techniques for emergency energy loops, while Velaran technicians shared advanced navigation algorithms. Every crew member was engaged, every action contributing to a growing sense of unity. Captain Alara called the crew together for a formal debrief. "Today," she began, her voice clear and authoritative, "we have learned a profound lesson. Strength is not only in technology, intelligence, or planning. True strength comes from courage, adaptability, and the willingness to act decisively. Humans have demonstrated this in ways we could not have imagined." The Velaran crew listened with quiet respect, realizing that their understanding of survival had been incomplete. The humans, too, regarded the Velarans with admiration, recognizing their skill, knowledge, and discipline as vital components of their success. Marcus stepped forward. "We have all learned something today. Humans are known for survival, yes, but it's not just that. It's teamwork, trust, and the willingness to face impossible odds, and that's what made this possible. None of us alone could have survived the nebula. Together we did." Ilara nodded. "Agreed, together we are stronger, and perhaps this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and dangers beyond imagination await. But if we combine our strengths, perhaps we can face anything." The humans and Velarans spent the next hours securing the ship, exchanging techniques and strategies. The Velarans marveled at the humans' ingenuity, their ability to improvise tools, repair systems with limited resources, and adapt instantly to unexpected threats. The humans, in turn, admired the Velarans' knowledge, precision, and ability to calculate complex energy flows and navigation paths that even humans could not easily comprehend. As night approached in Velaran terms, a time when their bioluminescent glow dimmed slightly, the crew gathered in the main deck. For the first time in days, they could relax. The nebula, which had seemed like a living, chaotic force, now lay behind them. The Elisire was safe and its crew was intact. Captain Alara approached Marcus privately, away from the others. "Captain Kane," she said, her voice thoughtful, "you have changed the way we see survival. Your species, it is remarkable. You adapt, improvise, and act with courage. We have relied on calculated intelligence for centuries, but you have shown us a different kind of strength, one we had not fully understood until now." Marcus smiled gently. "I appreciate that, Captain Alara. We do not claim to be superior. We survive because we must. But I will say this, survival is never enough if it does not include helping others. You needed help and we acted. That's how humanity works." Ilara nodded, considering his words. "Then perhaps there is more to learn from each other. Your species has taught us courage, and we have shared knowledge. Together, we could achieve far more than either species alone." Marcus agreed. "That is exactly what I was thinking. We may come from different worlds, different environments, but we are stronger together. And I believe this alliance could benefit both of our species immensely." Over the next several days, the Velarans and humans worked side by side, not only repairing the ship but planning future collaborations. Ideas were exchanged freely. The Velarans shared knowledge of advanced energy systems, warp navigation, and communication protocols. The humans demonstrated survival techniques, engineering improvisation, and rapid problem-solving strategies. Every exchange strengthened the mutual respect between the two species. Alara and Marcus held meetings to discuss formalizing a partnership. "Our species have very different approaches," Alara said during one session, "yet those differences are complementary. Velarans rely on precision and calculation. Humans rely on courage and improvisation. Together, we are stronger than either alone." Marcus nodded. "Exactly, and I believe this partnership can extend beyond this ship. Perhaps we can explore other sectors of the galaxy, face dangers together, and ensure that no species has to face the impossible alone." The decision was made. A formal alliance would be established. Protocols were drafted for interspecies cooperation, joint exploration missions, and mutual aid in dangerous regions. This alliance would not only secure survival but foster understanding, respect, and shared knowledge across the stars. As preparations for departure from the nebula continued, the crew took a moment to reflect. They had faced an environment that few had survived. They had confronted energy surges, plasma storms, gravitational anomalies, and the unpredictable dangers of the nebula itself. They had emerged stronger, united, and inspired by each other's strengths. Captain Alara addressed the crew one final time before leaving the nebula. "We are not the same crew that entered this storm. We are wiser, braver, and stronger. And we have humans to thank for showing us courage in action. Remember this day, for it will define the future of our species and our alliances." Marcus joined her at the front of the ship. "It was a privilege to help," he said. "And I have no doubt that, together, we can face anything the galaxy sends our way." The Elysire slowly emerged from the nebula, engines humming smoothly, shields steady, and crew alert but confident. Beyond the nebula lay open space, stars shining like distant beacons. The dangers of the storm were behind them, but the lessons learned would remain forever. In the coming days, the Velarans would return to their home systems, carrying tales of human courage and ingenuity. Humans, too, would continue their exploration, now with allies across the stars who had experienced firsthand what Deathworlders could accomplish. The nebula, once a symbol of fear and uncertainty, had become a testament to cooperation, courage, and mutual respect. The Velarans learned that survival was more than technology. It required heart, bravery, and the ability to act decisively. The humans learned that knowledge, calculation, and careful planning could complement raw skill and instinct, creating outcomes that neither species could achieve alone. Captain Alara and Marcus Kane stood together on the observation deck, watching the nebula fade into the distance. "This is only the beginning," Alara said softly. Marcus nodded, a confident smile on his face. "Yes, together we can face whatever comes next. And nothing can stop us now." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of unknown worlds, dangers, and opportunities. But aboard the Elysire, hope shone brightly. Two species, different yet united, had faced the impossible and survived. They had learned from one another, grown stronger together, and forged an alliance that would echo across the galaxy for generations. For the first time in the Velarans' long history of exploration, they understood the full potential of humanity, not just as survivors, but as allies, friends, and partners. And for the humans, the Velarans were no longer distant, mysterious beings. They were companions in a vast, dangerous, and wondrous universe. As the Elysire sailed into open space, leaving the nebula behind, both species looked forward to the future with courage, determination, and hope. Their story was not only one of survival, but of friendship, respect, and the incredible power of working together. The galaxy was vast and dangers still awaited, but they would face them together. United, resourceful, and unyielding, humans and Velarans were ready for whatever came next.